By far the most common response we get when we tell people that we've moved to Bulgaria is, why Bulgaria? So just a little tip, there's two ways to ask that question. So here's a heads up from somebody who's been the recipient of both. It's better to say, oh, what made you choose Bulgaria, in a kind of interested tone of voice, as opposed to, why Bulgaria? Every time I get the question, why Bulgaria, I get a little defensive because it kind of implies, what the heck's the matter with you? As opposed to, what made you choose Bulgaria? Which just sounds like, I don't know, cordial interest. Anyway, regardless of how we get asked the question, it is the most common question that we get. So in today's video, I'm going to go into the 8 reasons why we chose Bulgaria and not some other country. Hi, my name is Maureen. In 2024, I moved to Bulgaria with my husband Jeremy and our 2 tuxedo cats, Damon and Pythias, and I make videos for expats and wannabe expats so that you can make informed decisions. Before I get started on the 8 reasons why we chose Bulgaria, let me just give you one caveat. And that caveat is, we knew we wanted Europe. In doing our research for countries to move to, I have another video where I showed the spreadsheet that I created. I'll put a link to it here, showing all the criteria we evaluated. And shortly after we started the spreadsheet project, it became very clear to us that we wanted to focus on Europe. We had done Central and South America. We knew we didn't want any more Latin American cultures. We had done that and it just wasn't the best fit for us. And conversely, we didn't want places that were so far away, like Thailand and the Philippines and Malaysia and those kinds of places that are just too far away from the United States to get home comfortably to see our kids. So we knew it was Europe. Okay, not everybody will start with that premise, but we knew that we wanted to experience Europe as a whole. We wanted a nice, comfortable home base for which to explore Europe. So that was the premise that we started with. All right, let's dive in. These are in no particular order. Number 1, the tax rate is a flat tax rate of 10%. And although we have to file an income tax in Bulgaria, our Social Security income is not taxed here. So what does that mean? Jeremy and I still run our US-based business and of course secure an income from that. Different countries have different tax rates. And one of the things we researched was, what's our bottom line going to look like based on the country that we move to? And some countries like France and Italy and some of the countries of Western Europe put us in an extremely high tax bracket, probably their top tax bracket. And at the end of the day, or in this case, the end of the year, it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep. The reason that some of these countries' tax fees are so high is because the citizens there, the residents there, get a lot for their money. They get most of their healthcare needs taken care of. They're paying into their retirement system, as well as, the infrastructure of roads and all those things that people pay taxes for. However, we will never retire on their system. We're already at an age where most folks are retired. So we'd be paying into that and never getting anything back from it. And ditto with the medical, we can certainly get our own private medical insurance. So it didn't make sense for us to be in that 40 to 50% tax brackets in some other countries. Bulgaria has a flat 10% tax bracket. So no matter how much you make, that's what you're taxed on. And at the end of the year, when we file our taxes in Bulgaria, of course, we also file in the United States. The 2 countries do have a tax treaty, so we're not doubly taxed. But the money that we earn in Bulgaria from Blue Sky Elopements, which is our business, would only get taxed at a flat 10% tax rate. Number 2, the long-term stay visa in Bulgaria allows us to keep working on our US-based business. That was a big deal for us. We didn't realize when we started researching that a lot of countries in Europe and maybe worldwide, I'm not sure, they don't allow you to work once you receive their long-term residency visa, which I can understand why they don't want you to work in their country. They don't want you to come from another country and take a job that could go to a native. I understand that. I don't understand why they don't let you work on a business that's based elsewhere. If nothing else, you're bringing more money into the economy. But no one asked my opinion on that, and we have to go by the rules. So we were pretty far into researching France and Italy when we realized that their visas, they're called different things, but they all mean the same thing. So in Italy, it's called the elective residency visa. In France, it's called something else. But regardless of what it's called, those are meant for retirees, and they do not allow you to continue working when you obtain those visas. So that ruled those countries out right off the bat. Bulgaria allows us to keep working, even though we qualified for our visa with our Social Security / retirement income, they still allow us to work and obtain an income from our own private business. So that was a huge perk that many other countries did not offer us. Number 3, the cost of living. We just couldn't see escaping the high cost of living in the United States to come to a country that had an equally high cost of living. That didn't make any sense to us. So we were looking at countries that had a lower cost of living than the United States. The cost of living in Bulgaria, when we did our research, showed to be about half of what it was in the US. Our budget has borne that out. We've been here since December. It is now August of 2025. And when we chart our expenses, it is about 50% of what we were spending in the United States. I'll do a separate video with our expenses. I want to be here a little bit longer. There's always some initial expenses that come with setting up in a new country. I kind of want those to play out before I make a video about that, so I can give you a really complete picture of not only what it costs to come here, but what it costs to live here on a day-to-day basis. Number 4, the hiking and outdoor opportunities here are absolutely fabulous. There are mountains all over the place in this country, and it's not a real big country. So you just, everywhere you go, there are mountains. And Jeremy and I love to hike. Jeremy likes to road bike, and having beautiful surroundings to do those things in was very important to us. Additionally, I wanted something where when Jeremy is out riding the roads that I knew he was safe and he's not riding on the shoulders of busy highways. And there are some parts of Bulgaria that wouldn't fit that bill. Like I wouldn't live in Sofia because of that very reason. There's a lot of traffic there and it's congested, and I don't think Jeremy would be as safe there. But when you get out into the country roads, he can just pedal for miles and miles and miles and hardly ever have a car pass him. So that works out great. Even walking around the towns here is just a wonderful experience. There's so much history and cool architecture and things that are very new to us. Hi, love. Want to say hi to everyone? Come here. These guys are usually sleeping when I'm recording, but today Pythias came to say hello. Can you say hi? Do you want to get down? Okay, bye-bye. Later, Gator. Yeah, they're usually otherwise engaged when I'm making videos, but today I'm making mine a little bit later in the day, so they're up and about. So number 4, hiking, outdoor opportunities in general. We've got mountains, we've got the coast if we want to go out to the beach. It's just a beautiful, beautiful country with lots of opportunities for outdoor leisure activities. Number 5, safety. After Ecuador, this one was really high on the list. I'll post a link to the video I made about why we left Ecuador. One of the main reasons for leaving that country was that we didn't feel safe. And Bulgaria is so safe. After being here a very short time, I just stopped thinking about it. We walk around during the day, we walk around at night. It doesn't matter if we're in Sofia, if we're in Bansko, it doesn't matter if we're on the coast. Things here are just very safe. The Global Peace Index for Bulgaria is a 29. And for those of you who don't know what that measurement is, I'll put a link in the description. But it's a ranking of countries in order of low to high, how peaceful they are. That means of all the countries in the world, Bulgaria is the 29th most peaceful country, which is a big deal. I think Ecuador was 131 and the United States is 132. They're very close to each other. Being here is a very safe place to be, and we don't have to spend a lot of mental energy thinking about keeping ourselves safe. Don't get me wrong, we're still very aware of our surroundings. And I mean, petty crime can happen anywhere, but it's so much less here. Jeremy takes his bike places and he leaves it outside stores, and and parks it wherever he needs to park it. Right now, we're staying at an apartment in Bansko. He leaves it outside by the back door. Nobody bothers it. So it is an incredibly safe country to be in. And after how stressful Ecuador was, that's really appealing to us. Number 6, Bulgaria is part of the Schengen Zone of Europe, which means it's connected to all the other Schengen countries in the continent. So we can use Bulgaria as a good base to explore other parts of Europe. European countries that are not part of the Schengen zone, like Albania, Montenegro, makes travel throughout Europe a little bit harder to do. Whereas if you're in the Schengen zone, it's basically like going from one state to another within the United States. It's all considered one entity in terms for their borders. So we don't have to stop at every border and go through customs or any of that because we have legal residency in a Schengen zone country. And that was a very motivating factor for us. Now, these last two are going to be more dependent on where you are within the country of Bulgaria than the entirety of Bulgaria itself. So number 7 is in certain towns and cities within the country, there are very vibrant expat communities. There is so much to do in places like Sofia, Plovdiv, Bansko, Varna, that you could go out and do something every night of the week. We're not so inclined as to do that, but your social life is pretty much planned out for you. We have been spending the summer in Bansko, and we have joined hiking groups. There's a photography group that Jeremy has joined. Jeremy has joined a biking group where he goes out and road bikes with folks. There's a supper club that meets every few weeks, and we all just get together for dinner. There are tech groups. We are staying in Bansko for the summer, and I'll talk to you about that in another video. I think we're going to make Bansko our permanent home, but that's another video. Bansko is both a haven for expat retirees, mostly British, and also for digital nomads. That therefore gives us access to people of varying ages. So we hang out with the digital nomads because we still work and we still work digitally. So we have a lot in common with those folks. And then we hang out sometimes with the retirees because they're our age and we have a lot in common with those folks as well. So there is tons to do here. Not as much in Plovdiv, although they do have regular Wednesday night meetups. I've not lived in Varna, so I don't know specifically what they have, but based on Facebook groups I've looked at, it looks like Varna has a lot to do. And Sofia has so much that there's a gal who puts out a weekly newsletter for all these English-speaking meetups. It's wonderful to be in a country where there's so much to do with people who speak your language. Now, I'm learning Bulgarian. It's a very slow process, I have to say. But I am learning Bulgarian, but I don't think I will ever get proficient enough to understand the nuances of the language and some of the humor that's always understandable once you become fluent in a language. So it's great to have people whose native language is English so we can share those social connections. And piggybacking on number 7 is number 8, and that is also dependent on where you are in Bulgaria. But if you pick the right place, you will find a number of Bulgarians speak a great deal of English. And that is a lifesaver when you're new in a country. When we first came to Bulgaria, we spent a month in Sofia, and in Sofia, there are English speakers all over the place. I asked for directions in the subway. I could always find an English speaker anywhere I went in Sofia. It was not a problem. Then we went to Plovdiv, a little bit fewer English speakers there, but with a little bit of looking around, I can find English speakers in pharmacies, restaurants, even some of the taxi drivers will speak English, retail stores, medical facilities. They will all more than likely have English speakers, Bulgarians who speak English. English is less common in, say, the farmer's market or a gas station or government offices. Don't expect the government. Like people at immigration, no, you have to bring a translator when you go to immigration. But by and large, in the larger cities or cities where there is a high concentration of foreigners, there will be a lot of English speakers to help you if you get stuck on something. At the end of the day, Bulgaria gave us the package we were looking for. Low taxes, affordability, friendly people, ability to keep working, English speakers, and we can have an active social life as well as keep ourselves healthy doing our outdoor recreational pursuits. It also gets us access to the rest of Europe while having a home base in a community that feels at home to us. If you're curious about what it's like to be an American expat living in Bulgaria, please like and subscribe. I do try to post about once a week. If you are living in Bulgaria and have some thoughts about why you chose Bulgaria, please add that to the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.